Hey, Lariah, I wanted to leave you some feedback on your critical analysis essay. So overall, excellent work. You have a clear stance. You have supported it through key ideas, evidence, and your explanation, your analysis. And your ideas are logically connected. So there's this clear linear progression of your discussion. So overall, this is just a really excellent essay. Let's go through some of the details here. Your your summary is excellent. It is focused on the main idea while bringing in enough detail so the reader understands the plot points. And this is really what you do when you summarize, right? It's focusing on bringing enough plot detail in so readers who are unfamiliar with the text understand it, but at the same time, it needs to feel purposeful, meaning like I'm objectively capturing what happens, but I'm objectively capturing what happens in this essay in order to get to my point about it, and that's really apparent in what you've done here. I think that this is a good way to capture what Sedaris is doing, and then I think that this is a fine way to focus the discussion in the thesis. I would recommend that you not do your point of view shift here into second person. You might say oneself or try something like this. Even with mentors that are not supportive, students can still believe in themselves, ignore the hate, and persist in order to achieve success, right? Something like that. That way you're not shifting from third person to second person. As I mentioned before, your key ideas are very clear. You're doing some fantastic integration here, where we have your own writing interwoven with the evidence. There's just a couple of things that I want to talk to you about. If you create a signal phrase that includes the author's name, you do not have to include the author's name in the parenthetical, right? So there's no need to actually have this. You could actually end the sentence here because you've already included the author's name here. So MLA is a really plain style, and it doesn't like repetitive information, right? Hopefully, as I scroll down, I can find an example of where you would want to use the parenthetical. Yeah, perfect. Here's one. So look at what you did here. You were really broad with your signal phrase, right? It still works. But since you did not mention Sedaris directly, make sure that you include him here. I love your explanation here. This is exactly what you're supposed to do when you are discussing the evidence. Oh, you got another example of where you've got double citations that you don't necessarily need. I really like your signal phrase here. Not your signal phrase. I'm sorry. Your idea. Transition, where you're building on the ideas from this paragraph. You're like briefly summarizing them in this short little phrase to get us to your next point. I might suggest not using an ing form to make this short phrase right here less awkward. So I would say through all the criticism and abuse. So what you want to keep in mind is when you have items in a series joined by and a series can be short as 2 things or long as 3, you want them to be the same word type, right? So noun, 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 verb, 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 or ing verb, ing verb, ing verb. And so here you've got an ing verb and a noun. So what I would do is just make these both nouns, abuse and criticism, right? And I think that will that will work quite well here. Scrolling down. Yeah, and your structure in all of your body paragraphs it works pretty well. And I think that you have a fine summary and good final insights for the reader as well. Your works cited page looks pretty good. One minor thing, this is the title of the book, so this actually should be italicized, but that's a pretty minor thing because everything else in your bibliographic entry looks great. And speaking of great, that's how I would describe this essay. So fantastic work, Lariah.